Item 4 of the agenda is administration of police department ceremonial oath of office and badge pinning. Chief?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Shane Pongratz,
Shane Pongratz,
having been duly selected
to
serve as an officer
serve as an officer
of the police department
of the police department
for the city of Wisconsin Rapids,
for the city of Wisconsin Rapids,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Wisconsin,
and of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Michelle, would you like to come up and pin the badge?
Thank you and congratulations, Shane. We'll give them a second to go on to eat cake. Okay, let's go on to item 5 is a reading of the minutes of the previous meetings held September 21st and September 23rd. What are your wishes?
Second.
I have a motion by Bemke, seconded by Dean. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Item 6 is consider a resolution extending the emergency declaration proclamation regarding COVID-19 pandemic. What are your wishes?
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry, I missed who that was. Oh, sorry, motion by Jake. Seconded by Dean. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 7 ayes, 1 nay. Item 8 is consider the appointments of one member. Item 7 is consider for approval Mayor Blazer's appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals for terms expiring November 1st, 2024. And those are submitted for your consideration. There's 2 new ones on there. A and B are existing members that are reappointment, and C, Peggy is a new person interested.
I'll move to approve the appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Now we have a motion by Ryan, seconded by Jay. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Item 8 is consider the appointment of one member to the Ethics Board to fill the vacancy for a term expiring November 1st, 2023, and the appointment of 2 members for terms expiring November 1st, 2024. And this would be a these are council appointments. But in your packet, there should be interested parties. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So the two appointments that are expiring in 2024, did I get that right? 2024. Those are for the seats that Renee Fisher and Doug, no, it was Doug, Mahan held, and Doug has decided not to run again or to pursue that term. So that's why there are two for the 2024, and then the one for 2023 is Dan DeRoche, who his seat actually expired in 2020. So, makes sense? I believe we may have some of the candidates here if you want to hear from any of them.
I'll recognize someone if they want to speak, otherwise, or do we have the right amount of applicants to fill each position, or is there more applicants than positions?
More applicants. We have 3 positions and 4 applicants.
Well, in that case, who wants to come up and speak? I'll recognize you.
Lee,
Make
just
sure you,
Go ahead.
make sure you turn the microphone on. Make sure the green light is on.
Well, my name is Lee Gossick, and I am up for one of the seats for the Ethics Board. I have experience on an Ethics Board. I was with the Central Wisconsin Board of Ethics for 2 years. We had 3, assemblies to talk to people about various things. I was chair of 2 of the 3. We won 3 out of 3, and I really enjoyed being on that board or committee, and I would like to do it again for the city. I've got the experience, I've got the knowledge, I've got the honesty, I've got the know-how, and thank you for considering me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
I nominate Mr. Gossick for the Ethics Board.
I'll second. Sorry.
Matt? So, yeah. So which term is that?
Well, we have 3. Dan DeRoche wishes to be reappointed. Renee Fisher wishes to be reappointed, and then there's the
That one
vacant position. So I guess, which, are you inclined to reappoint the other 2? Maybe you want to take care of those
Sure, so
first.
there was more applicants than,
For the vacant, there are 2, right?
You're reappointing. 2 of the candidates are wanting to be considered for reappointment. That would be Renee Fisher and
Dan DeRoche.
Dan DeRoche. And then the other open spot that is not currently, the person holding that spot right now is does not want to be considered for another term. So you have 2 candidates for that one spot. So you can,
sure, I understand. So is the other person who's interested in the open spot here and would like to speak? You don't think so? Okay, so in that case, I'll amend my motion to nominate Mr. Gossick and reappoint the two current Ethics Board members, which are Renee Fisher and Dan DeRoche.
So you're approving to appoint those people to those positions?
Yes.
So we, I guess technically we'll close the nominations, and I would look for unanimous consent to approve those appointments to the Ethics Board.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Bemke,
Second.
second by Dean. I'm letting the clerk catch up. Okay, we have a motion by Bemke, second by Dean. Sounds good. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballots. You can always, Patrick, if the vote isn't revealed yet, if you choose, I didn't know if you're choosing to abstain, but you can change, I believe, you can change it until it's revealed at that point. But I take it you're an A or an A?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. So we have 7 A's and 1 abstention. Okay, we're on to item 9, which is consider the adoption of a resolution regarding ward division and designating polling places. See attachment 6. Anybody have anything to say regarding the redistricting process?
For the redistricting?
Any thoughts on redistricting committee? But otherwise,
Yeah, we met, I shouldn't say we, the committee met along with staff a couple times. We played around with the maps a little bit, and we relied a lot on Justin Connor, who was our GIS specialist. And I think Justin is here, right? No? Oh, I thought he said he was going to be here.
We don't see him.
And because of the tentative Wood County supervisory plans, we needed to make some minor changes to our ward boundaries. And because a lot of our wards, because of annexations and other things, were actually under the population, they're supposed to be between 600 and 2,100. We had a lot that were under 600. So we needed to divide, the best number that we came up with would be 27, and only 2 of our wards are under 600, and they are in the 400s and 500s, I believe. But those were necessary because of how the supervisory districts were drawn. So it is permissible for us to deviate from that for that reason. I think you have PDFs of each of the wards, and I sent you a tentative interactive map. And what we would be asking for is approval of the resolution to divide the city into 27 wards and to approve the ward boundaries as is outlined in the resolution, and to designate the polling places for the wards, as is in the resolution. And I really want to thank Justin. He spent a lot of time on this and was very helpful. And I want to thank the committee members and Jennifer also.
Thank you. Jake?
I just wanted to speak on that I will no longer be in District 6, but I will be serving my term out through April. I'm going to be in District 5 now, which is Sherry's district. But I did want to take this time for all those watching and in the audience tonight just to spread the word and encourage those you know that do live in District 6 to put their name in for the election. It's a great way to serve your community, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it if they would come out and get engaged. So I will not be eligible to run for District 6, but I hope that others put their name in.
Thank you, Jake. What is the council's wishes? Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick.
Okay, so this plan that is set before us, this was done by the legislative committee, basically, correct?
Yes.
How much input did the city have on this, putting this together, as opposed to what the county had already put together for us?
Well, the county drew their tentative supervisory districts, so obviously, that affected us somewhat, but they didn't draw our wards. They drew their tentative supervisory districts, and then we needed to make sure that, oh, I thought you were hitting me. So we wanted to be consistent with those, and I think what we came up with was consistent and did not require them to change their supervisory plans. I don't think we thought that was necessary in order to draw our wards, that we needed to go back to them and say that they need to make any changes. So it resulted in some changes, but some of that is obviously, or most of it is because of the population change in the county. So what they gave us to work with was, I think, reasonable. Jennifer and I went to their redistricting meeting a month or two ago, and, I think what they gave us was fair, and I think they tried to, recognize our existing wards, or what were our existing wards, but we needed to do some other cleanup with our population of our wards. So that's probably why. I mean, the numbers of the wards are actually pretty different now, right? I mean, I'd say, but really the wards are just, those are the units, but our electoral districts are going to be the supervisory districts. So then we're going to join our wards and get our supervisory districts, and those are actually the electoral districts. So, I guess it made us move a couple boundaries, but I don't think there was any, just more kind of a street or two, or maybe a few parcels. But I don't know, I was satisfied with what happened, and I don't know if any of the other committee members want to speak to it. Or I wasn't on the committee, I should say. If the committee members want to speak to it.
May I add something? So the county supervisory districts shifted slightly because of changes in population. Rapids actually went up in population, and some of the rural areas went down. So they had to do some pulling from the different supervisory districts, because they also have a quota, or I don't know if you'd call it a quota, but a range that they have to be in for their supervisory districts of the population to make them more even. So that's why ours shifted slightly, as Sue said, maybe a street or two. So just wanted to explain that.
Answer your question, Patrick?
Tom, could you speak to this at all, Tom? About how much input the council members had on this. Could you speak to that for me?
I think as much as we wanted to.
Obviously, it was helped with having GIS, be able to use that to, move boundaries around and whatever, because that makes it more helpful than just using the eye and a pencil and drawing a line. So it helps in that sense, and we had to try to stay within the certain numbers and that, and so it did work out. I guess we get to take the action after the county does their thing. I'd rather that, I guess we could do it first, but that's not how it is, so that's, the next time for this to happen will be in 10 years from now, if this is all approved. I don't know that anything would change between now and 10 years from now, but, so that's basically it. Sue was right. I think that we had, guidelines to go by, and I think we probably came up with I think at the time, the best that we could, and with the assistance of a GIS person, that we were able to do that. So at times it may feel that you're not having maybe as a direct input as if you did do it by pencil and drew it yourself, but but you're using, I guess, the modern technology to go through that. And I think through all of it, there was no which would be called in other places gerrymandering of where the district lines would be. It was all came out, and I think after it's all said and done, it's just about probably when the I can't speak for the rest, but actually for myself to actually see where everybody that is on the council presently is the process was just about complete, I think, before I really saw where everybody lived currently, and that then involved Jake's changing by, I think, one block or so, that how it's realigned. So that's how it came to be. It's something, again, that the Constitution that lays upon us to do every 10 years, and it's a worthwhile thing. From the city's standpoint, it'd be easier, I think, if we could probably just, if we didn't have to, if we could draw it up and just with the GIS, but without having the county's guidelines on how to go try to fit in that. So
Thank you.
that way.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much.
I guess one thing I'd like to clarify too, I'm pretty sure Tom mentioned it, but one thing you couldn't take into consideration, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Schill, is current addresses of Alder people. That could not be factored into our decision, correct?
Right.
Tom, did you have something you wanted to say? No. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Seeing no other requests, what are your wishes on the resolution?
I'll move to approve.
A motion by Jay, second by Tom. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item number 10, which is consider adoption of an ordinance adding a municipal connection fee to the wastewater charges in Chapter 8 of the Municipal Code. Joe?
The city's been working with Village of Buren over the last, over a year now, to update the wastewater service agreement so that the agreement is consistent with the rate structure that everybody else pays here in the city. And along with that is the fixed fee. Everybody that has a meter has a fixed fee. And in calculating the rates for a municipal customer, we've calculated that fixed fee should be $500 per connection. While the agreement with the village is still in the process of being negotiated, I believe it was in March of this year, due to a lack of progress, the city council took action to terminate that agreement effective the end of this calendar year. And so by having this in the ordinance, whether there's a service agreement in place or not, the method for charging would be the same as if there is a service agreement. And so in order to facilitate continuing to charge the village for service, this ordinance is recommended to be amended accordingly so that by the end of the year then we can charge appropriately.
Thank you. Jake?
Joe, could you give just a little background to those who might not be familiar with the situation on how we got to this point with the village and what was happening previously and just how we're trying to just make things right at this point?
Sure. So I'll try to be fairly brief. In 2016, the city completed a rate study. The wastewater fee schedule that the city was charging was really difficult to put a finger on why are we charging what we're charging. And changes were just made just generally because, well, we need 2% more, so we'll increase the rates by 2%, without really having an idea of what it costs to actually treat waste. There was some speculation by staff at that time that perhaps some of the industrial service agreements and the municipal service agreements weren't fair, that perhaps one entity, such as a residential customer, business customer within the city, was maybe subsidizing some of the other customers. So we endeavored a rate study. In that study, we also looked at what it would take for the city to have a sustainable wastewater utility. That was something that the city had never done before. And so the rate structure that was proposed and approved in 2016 changed everything. I think it was the first so many gallons for free, and then some fixed and some variable, to a more standardized method where you've got a standard meter fee that covers some of the administrative costs, and then a cost to treat, which we're able to validate if questioned. What does it cost to treat a gallon of wastewater? We have the documentation and the research to back that up. Once that was approved, the Wastewater Commission had asked myself and our city attorney and a hired attorney to work on contracts for first our industrial service customers, because we were having some issues both with what we were charging them, but as importantly, how waste was being sent to the plant. The plant was struggling. We successfully negotiated those agreements that and had determined that there were some subsidies going on there, so that resolved that issue, and our industrial contract customers were satisfied that they're paying their fair share, and happy to know that the city has plans for a sustainable wastewater utility as far as the infrastructure in the plant goes. The next task was to work with our municipal customers, and we looked at that the same way. The Village of Buren, if you break it down in cost to treat, the same as what everybody else pays, it's significantly less. And so we developed a proposed contract agreement or a proposed service agreement that sets allocations so that the village knows how much water they can send, which is consistent with the previous one. It recognizes that there are 2 connections, which the previous agreement did not. It defines responsibilities as far as testing, sampling, who's responsible for that equipment, where the previous service agreement did not. and it sets some limitations that the previous agreement didn't have, and also some exceedance fees that follow in line with the same type of setup that we have for our industrial service customers, so that the city has an enormous amount of responsibility in operating a wastewater treatment plant and an enormous amount of liability if we exceed our DNR permits. And so, so we completed the draft service agreement back in August of last year and submitted it to the village for discussion and negotiation in September of 2020. There was a long delay with no communication. The city had made several requests to discuss the terms, if there's areas that we need to work together. In February, the city met with the Village of Buren. The village didn't really feel it was appropriate to consider a new service agreement, really liked the old one and wanted to continue to use that. It was at that time, because of the lack of progress and the Wastewater Commission's direction to standardize these service agreements, that the recommendation came to the Common Council to terminate the existing agreement effective the end of, or December 31st, 2021. And we've met several times since then, and we've made some progress, but not a lot of progress. There's still a hang-up that the village really likes the old agreement, and those that attended the last wastewater commission meeting got to hear those concerns. So that's how we got to where we are. If the service agreement terminates at the end of the year, the city still does have an obligation to continue to treat that waste, but we don't have then a method to charge them. And seeing that the proposed service agreement utilizes the same structure that we charge all of our other customers by adding this one item in it, whether we have a service agreement or not, we can charge them. There's certainly a need for them to have a service agreement as a municipality that's discharging wastewater. There are some assurances that the DNR needs, but that's Buren's need, that's not the city's need. The city can consider them a customer just like anybody else. Whether we have a service agreement or not, we would continue to take that waste.
Thanks, Joe. So I'm sure the village loved the old agreement, but it is time to have a new rate fee for them in place, as our residents have been subsidizing them. So with that, I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance revising wastewater charges in Chapter 8 of the Municipal Code.
So we have a motion by Jake, second by Ryan. Any further discussion or questions of Joe? All right, seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried, 8 ayes, 0 nays. On to item 11, consider for adoption the actions of the Plan Commission at its meetings held October 4th and October 19th. I'll take October 4th, and Kyle will take today's meeting. And I'll do the abbreviated version. The Plan Commission met at 4 p.m. on October 4th in the council chambers. A list of attendees are in file at the clerk's office. The meeting was called to order at 4 p.m. First item was approval of the reports from September 13th and 23rd. There was a motion by Fee, second by Goudreau, to approve that item, 6 ayes, 0 nays. Item 2 is Plan 21-0915. Kyle Beninoff of Lingle Design Group requested for a site plan review to renovate 1821 A Street South, parcel ID, I'll skip that, and perform other site plan improvements. There's a motion by Dobbin, seconded by Tao, to approve the request and the conditions outlined by staff. That motion carried, 6 ayes, 0 nays. Item 3 is Plan 21-0966, Wisconsin Rapids Public School District. There was a public hearing and action on a request for a conditional use permit amendment to construct an addition on House School at 221 A Street North, parcel, forget that. Public hearing opened at 4:06 PM. There was nobody speaking against. Craig Bjorn spoke in favor. The public hearing closed at 4:08. Chairperson Austin expressed concerns regarding student access to the building during construction. There was a motion by Fee, seconded by Goudreau, to approve the request and conditions outlined by staff. That motion carried 6 ayes, 0 nays. Item 4 is Plan 21-0967, Wisconsin Rapids School District. There was a public hearing and action on a request for a conditional use permit to construct an addition on Mead School at 241 17th Avenue South. Public hearing opened at 4:11 PM. No one spoke in favor or against the request, and that public hearing closed at 4:11 PM. There's a motion by Goudreau, seconded by Dobbin, to approve the request and conditions outlined by staff. That motion carried 6 ayes, 0 nays. Item 5 is Plan 21-0968, Wisconsin Rapids School District. Public hearing and action on a request for a conditional use permit amendment to construct an addition on Washington School at 2911 Washington Street. Public hearing opened at 4:13. No one spoke in favor or against. Then that public hearing closed at 4:15 PM. There was a motion by Goudreau, second by Tao, to approve the request and conditions outlined by staff. That motion carried 6 ayes, 0 nays. Item 6 is adjournment. Motion to adjourn by Austin, second by Tao. Motion carried 6-0. Meeting adjourned at 4:15 PM. With that, I submit for your approval.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion by Ryan,
Second.
seconded by Dean. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Kyle, if you want to do tonight's meeting?
The Plan Commission, the Plan Commission met today at 5 PM in the council chambers. For a list of attendees, please see the clerk's office. The meeting was called to order at 5 PM. Item 1 was Plan 210522, City of Wisconsin Rapids, request for certified survey map approval for one lot and to dedicate it as right-of-way at the end of Grove Avenue, east of 16th Street South. Parcel ID is identified, which includes rescinding the previous dedication of right-of-way associated with the property. Motion by Feith to approve the request, second by Goudreau. Motion carried 6-0. Item number 2, Plan 21-1037, Sweps Food Pantry, request for site plan review amendment to perform site improvements at 2321 West Grand Avenue. Motion by Goudreau to approve the request, subject to the following conditions outlined in the staff report. Second by Tao. Motion carried 6-0. Item 3 is a conceptual project review, County of Wood, to construct a public safety facility, jail at 410 Avon Street and 431 Saratoga Street. Wood County officials and representatives gave a presentation on the Wood County Jail project. Discussion occurred amongst the representatives, commission, and council members. No action was taken. Item 4, Plan 211038, County of Wood, public hearing and action on a request from the County of Wood for an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, specifically map 7-2, future land use map, to classify 410 Avon Street from a commercial and residential classification to an institutional land use classification, and 431 Saratoga Street from a commercial classification to an institutional land use classification. The public hearing was opened at 5:42 PM. No one spoke in favor or against. The public hearing closed at 5:43 PM. Motion by Austin to approve the request, second by Goudreau. Motion carried 6-0. Item 5, Plan 210816, County of Wood, public hearing and action on a request from the County of Wood for a zoning map amendment to rezone 410 Avon Street and 431 Saratoga Street from B2 General Commercial District and R2 Mixed Residential District to I1 Institutional District. The public hearing was opened at 5:46 PM. Nobody spoke in favor or against. The public hearing was then closed at 5:47 PM. There was a motion by Austin to approve the request, second by Gaudreau. Commissioner Dobbin left the meeting. He was on Zoom. The motion carried 5-0. Sixth item is a motion to adjourn. Motion by Gaudreau to adjourn, second by Austin. Motion carried 5-0. Meeting adjourned at 5:48 PM.
Thank you, Kyle. What are your wishes?
Move to approve.
A motion by Dean,
I'll second.
second by Ryan. Is there any discussion, questions? The sheriff's here, willing to answer questions. All right, seeing none. Please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We are on to item 12, consider for adoption the action of standing committees of the council as follows. Finance and Property Committee meeting held October 5th. Mr. Rayo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Finance and Property Committee met at 4:30 PM on Tuesday, October 5th, 2021, in the council chambers at City Hall. The meeting was live on Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, WRCM, Spectrum Channel 985, and Solaris Channel 3, online at www.wr-cm.org, or via WRCM's Roku app, and was streamed live on the City of Wisconsin Rapids Facebook page. All members of the Finance and Property Committee were present. Also in attendance were Alderperson Veneman, Alderperson Delaney, Alderperson Evenson, Mayor Blazer via remote, Joe Terry, Jennifer Gossick, Jennifer Zimmerman, and Tim DeSorcy. Item 1 was call the meeting to order. Chairperson Rayom called the meeting to order at 4:37 p.m. Item 2, consider for approval a temporary retail Class B fermented malt beverages license and Class B wine license application for the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce, Inc., Angel Whitehead President, for an off-the-clock event at CHI Decor Shop, 1630 26th Street North, on Monday, November 8th, 2021. It was moved by Bemke, seconded by Catnaw, to approve the temporary retail Class B fermented malt beverages license and Class B wine license application for the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce, Incorporated, Angel Whitehead President, for an off-the-clock event at the CHI Decor Shop, 1630 26th Street North, on Monday, November 8th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Motion carried. Item 3, consider request from 45 Mercantile, LLC, DBA 45 Mercantile, Jennifer Zimmerman, agent, for Class A and Class A liquor license for the premises located at 1000 East Riverview Expressway, Suite 170. It was moved by Catnaw, seconded by Bemke, to approve the Class A and Class A liquor license for the premises located at 1000 East Riverview Expressway, Suite 170, for 45 Mercantile, LLC, DBA 45 Mercantile, Jennifer Zimmerman, agent. Motion carried. 4, consider recommendation from Statewide Services to disallow a claim from Automotive Rentals Incorporated on behalf of the state of Wisconsin DOA for damage to one of their vehicles allegedly sustained in a collision with a city squad on 4/16/2021. It was moved by Rayom, seconded by Bemke, to deny a claim from Automotive Rentals Incorporated on behalf of the state of Wisconsin DOA for damage to one of their vehicles allegedly sustained in a collision with the city squad on 4/16/2021. That motion carried. Item 5, consider a recommendation to disallow claims from city retirees Wade Wittenberg, Doug Bernverkel, Steve Belter, and John Jansen regarding life insurance premiums. It was moved by Bemke, seconded by Catnaw, to deny the claims from city retirees regarding life insurance premiums, and that motion carried. Item 6, discuss accepting a professional services agreement with R.A. Smith on a time and materials basis to work with city staff and refine the transportation utility model, complete the database, and work on connecting the data with the utility accounts. It's moved by Rayom, seconded by Bemke, to approve a professional services agreement from R.A. Smith on a time and materials basis to work with the city staff to refine the transportation utility model, complete with the database and work on connecting the data with utility accounts, not to exceed $25,000. That motion carried. Item 7, audit of the bills. It was moved by Rayholm, seconded by Catnott, to approve checks number 9972 to 10339, and that motion carried. Item 8 was to review the 2022 budget. The committee discussed the 22 departmental budget request document. It was determined that the mayor's executive budget would be presented at the scheduled October 14th, 2021 Finance and Property Committee meeting. No action was taken. It's moved by Catnall, seconded by Bemke, to set the public hearing on the 2022 budget for Thursday, November 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m. That motion carried. Item 9, set the next meeting date. The next meeting for the Finance and Property meeting would be Thursday, October 14th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. Item 10 was to adjourn. It was moved by Bemke, seconded by Catnall to adjourn. The motion carried and the meeting adjourned at 5:57 p.m. Your Honor, I'd move for adoption of that report.
Thank you. We have a motion by Tom, second by Jay. Any discussion on that report? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. Thank you. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Tom, we're on the October 14th Finance meeting.
Thank you, Your Honors. Finance and Property Committee met at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 14th, 2021 in the council chambers at City Hall. The meeting was live on Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, Spectrum Channel 985, and Solaris Channel 3, online at www.wr-cm.org or via WRCM's Roku app. And it was streamed live on the City of Wisconsin Rapids Facebook page. All members of the Finance and Property Committee were present. Also in attendance were Alderperson Benjamin, Alderperson Delaney, Mayor Blaza via remote, Kyle Kearns, and Tim DeSorcy. Item 1 was to call the meeting to order. Chairperson Rayholm called the meeting to order at 4:34 p.m. Item 2, review and discuss the 2022 budget. Finance Director Tim DeSorcy gave an overview of the changes that were made to the 2022 departmental budget request, as well as a summary of the status of the 2022 executive budget. After questions from all the persons and discussion, it was determined to schedule a meeting of the Finance and Property Committee to discuss the public safety budgets on Tuesday, October 26, 2021, and the Public Works on Thursday, October 28, 2021. No action was taken. Item 3 was to adjourn. It was moved by Rayholm, seconded by Bemke to adjourn. That motion carried, and with that, Your Honor, I'd move for adoption of that report.
Thank you. We have a motion by Tom, seconded by Dean. Any discussion on that report? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on the Public Works Committee meeting held October 5th. Ryan?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Public Works Committee met on Tuesday, October 5th, 2021 in the City Council chambers and via remote video conference. Ryan Austin, Matt Zacher, and Patrick Delaney were in attendance. Others attending are on file in the clerk's office. Item number 1 was called the meeting to order. The meeting was called to order at 6:06 p.m. Item 2, consider recommending approval of the discontinuance of Avon Street from Market Street to 5th Street North. Motion by Austin, second by Zacher, to approve the discontinuance of Avon Street from Market Street to 5th Street North under the condition Wood County will be responsible for the costs associated with any city utility relocation and will provide utility easements for any city utility remaining in the current Avon Street right-of-way. Motion carried 3-0. Item 3, review 2022 to 2026 Public Works Construction CIP. The 2022-2026 Public Works Construction CIP was reviewed. The committee referred the item to the November meeting to consider for taking action. Item 4, discuss transportation utility next steps. Motion by Austin, second by Delaney, to complete the transportation utility database and delay action on the proposed ordinance until the database is complete. Motion carried 2-1 with Zacher voting in the negative. Item 5, review a proposed degradation fee schedule for 2022. Motion by Zacher, second by Delaney, to approve the degradation fee schedule for 2022 as proposed. Motion carried 3-0. Item 6, review proposed modification of Chapter 6 to clarify the limitations of use of colored concrete in the public right-of-way and driveway. Motion by Delaney, second by Austin, to modify Chapter 6.22 as follows. D, colored concrete is not allowed within the driveway approach or sidewalk section within the public right-of-way. E, stamped concrete is not allowed within the driveway approach or sidewalk section within the public right-of-way. Motion carried 3-0. Number 7, review proposed modification of street design criteria to clarify allowable boulevard plantings. Motion by Austin, second by Zacher, to approve the policy language as presented. Motion carried 2-1 with Delaney voting in the negative. Item 8, review proposed modification of the parking ordinance to limit parking on the north side of Oak Street between 7th Street North and 8th Street North from 15-minute parking on school days to be only for authorized vehicles during school days. Motion by Zacher, second by Delaney, to approve the proposed modification to the parking ordinance as presented. Motion carried 3-0. Item 9, review referral list. The referral list was reviewed, and the following item added. Request by Alderperson Bemke to perform an intersection analysis and determine sign warrants, if any, for 12th Street South and Chestnut Street. Item 10 was adjourn. Motion by Zacher, second by Austin to adjourn. Motion carried 3-0. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the report of the Public Works Committee holding out item 8.
Thank you. We have a motion. And a second by Jay. Patrick?
Can we also hold out item
Oh.
6 for further discussion?
Everybody good with that? Okay, items 6 and 8 will be held out. And on the balance of the report, is there any other questions? Seeing none? Please cast your ballots. Motion carried, 8 ayes, 0 nays. Guess we'll go in order. Item 6.
Okay, for the limitations of colored concrete and stamped concrete in the public right-of-way. Also to my motion that I had made, I'd asked that today's date be made known as a revision date on this, and any non-conforming sidewalks or driveways is hereby grandfathered in. I see that did not make it into the actual ordinance. I would like to make sure that gets in, unless there is some reason why it can't go in.
So is that your motion to kind of reaffirm that with that grandfather date in there?
Correct.
Okay.
What I'm willing, or what I'm trying to avoid is, Joe Eichstedt had said that they discovered a couple that are going to be redone just through the course of driving around. That's not something that they really go around and look for. I just don't want a resident that already has it to have some city person come to them and say, hey, this is stamped concrete, it's no longer allowed, you need to replace it, and then they're going to be charged the replacement cost, which could be over $10,000.
So just to clarify, that's going to be your motion then on this item? Just to make sure to include that date in there?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So we have a motion to, where is it? With the grandfather date of, what's that? Absolutely. Yep. As of October 19th, 2021. Is there a second? So we have a, what's that? Oh, second. Okay, Jay beat you. Right, Attorney Schill?
Well, right, I guess it was, and I believe it is the city's position that was never allowed, stamped or colored concrete, so any any existing driveways or sidewalks like that would be illegal, non-conforming. So and I know on occasion when people have asked, we've said no. And I guess if there's some that went ahead and did it without permit or without permission, I'm not sure that we want to continue to allow that, but I guess I'd maybe defer to the engineering department or Public Works on how that's been interpreted and enforced in the past.
Joe or Joe?
So, we certainly haven't issued any permits for colored or stamped. So if there are any out there, they were installed without a permit, to the best of my knowledge. At the same time, we don't go looking for issues. I guess I don't have a big problem with leaving it there, just so that there's an understanding that if that sidewalk section needs to be replaced for maintenance purposes, it can't be put back in colored or stamped.
I agree with that completely. If the street and sidewalk are being replaced, at that time, they should conform.
Do we need to modify you want to modify it then, you think?
So we want to recognize any current stamped and colored concrete within the driveway, approach, or sidewalk section is legal, or is a legal non-conforming, but so that if it needs to be replaced, it would need to be brought up to code, which would be no colored concrete and no stamped concrete. Is that?
If in the, okay, I don't want an engineer to go over and say, hey, this is non-conforming, it needs to be replaced, thus bringing the need for it to be replaced by the city saying it needs to be replaced. At the time of normal maintenance on the streets and sidewalks, at that time, it should be replaced. I don't have anybody in mind for this. I don't know of any situations. There may be none at all. This may be just a non-issue. I just don't want to see somebody getting a huge bill from the city because of this action that we're taking.
Are you good with that, Jay?
So
No.
what typically happens if somebody comes in, does the concrete work and doesn't get permitted? What kind of action does the city take then?
Well, I mean, it's technically a citable offense.
So would you tear that out? Would you issue a citation, both, possibly?
Possibly both. I think it depends on the situation. There's been times where people have knowingly violated the rules and have come to the Common Council and gotten special approval also. So it depends on the situation.
Ryan?
I agree with Mr. Delaney on this. I think we also need to keep in mind that there's a large amount of colored and stamped concrete on West Grand currently. So having to go out and tear out somebody's driveway, I think you'd have to cross the same bridge in those areas as well.
Thank you. Jake?
I guess without a database or a map of all the colored stamped concrete in the city, someone could put stamped concrete or colored concrete in and say it was there for a while. So I'm in favor of just keeping it with how it was proposed before.
And Tom?
Thank you, Your Honor. Try to be brief. That's, I think one of the problems with this and other issues, I think, over the years that we've come up with is, I'm not saying a lot, and not even take a guess at how many, but work being done without people coming in to either get a permit or to see what the rules are or anything like that, but of just going ahead and doing a project. So then the committee or council is stuck with, well, do you make them take out something that may have cost, whatever, $10,000 or something to put in? So my encouragement would be, I do agree with Jake, the encouragement would be is that we have to encourage the city residents, if you don't know for sure, and probably most of us don't, to check at City Hall what the ordinances are, what you can do, what the rules are, and make sure that your contractor knows what they are, and if they come downtown at City Hall and find out what the rules are too. Over the years, there have been some that have put in things, and so it's come here. But the big thing is, which irritated me, is that people do things, and then after the fact, and not just, something like this, but after the fact, then they want the council or a particular committee to make an exception, change something. When everything could have been either fully explained beforehand, so everybody knew what the rules were, and then if somebody tried to do something, well, you knew, take it out or change it, whatever you'd have to do to make it legal. But that's, I think, a problem that we're having. Fortunately, I think most of the contractors are good and come downtown in that, but it's a thing of, I think residents have to be made aware of that we do have rules. Probably people would say there's too many, but they're there for a reason, and that they're there is that for the citizens to follow. And, if there's somebody would like, I guess, to do something different, could ask for an exception to try to, well, in my case, instead of 15 feet away, it's only 13, could it be? And they could see if that could be adjusted into or whatever, and if there could be a variance given or something like that. So, but that's, it's one of those things that, again, we shouldn't be coming back down and after the fact of what somebody did. They may think, oh, this is going to look nice or whatever, but it doesn't take too long to make a phone call or something to find out what the rules are. And, I guess if they don't like what the rules are, then they can either try to change the rules or they can ask to see if there could be a variance given or something like that. So, I guess that's my comment on it, that it's a thing of, it's just, the staff, I don't think, is out looking for anything like that to do. It usually probably comes along that somebody says, well, I can't do it, but I know Joe has it over there or something like that. That's what usually probably pulls the trigger. So that's, I guess, my 2 cents worth or whatever on that, but I think that's, I think something we should all keep in mind is that try to encourage people, but I guess with what I'm saying here tonight, if there was ever watching, looking at a project to do, to come downtown, make a phone call, whatever, however, to find out if what you're looking at, what the legalities are, well, how big you can make something, or what it has to be, or what color you can make it or not, or how far from a street corner something could be, or whatever, to fall within the rules of, because there are setbacks, street corners and that, so visibility and everything like that. So it's not just with the color, in this case, it's colored concrete that we're talking about, but it's with everything involved, of what people look to do at their residence, it's a simple thing to make a phone call and inquire about, here's what I'm thinking about legal to do, or, I'll bring this plan down and then tell me, is it legal to do, so. That's all. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Tom. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor Blazer. So if somebody puts in a stamped or colored concrete driveway, they're paying for it? Like the city would never pay for that. So if they tore it up and the city came through and fixed what needed to be fixed underneath and it was tore up and they wanted to replace it, just hypothetically speaking, the same way, they would again have to pay for it, correct?
Yes. The issue with colored and stamped, though, in the right-of-way is one of safety and continuity. If it's stamped concrete on a public sidewalk, it's not a safe sidewalk. But yes, the property owner would cover the cost to replace it.
So the city, like, has this happened before where there's residents who, like, the sidewalk always goes through there, but the resident has to put in their driveway on both sides of the sidewalk? You can't.
Right, and residents can do
sidewalk.
colored and stamped from the right-of-way back to the house.
Yeah.
That's private property, they can do whatever they want there. Not whatever they want, but colored and stamped is not an issue there. It's just that continuity out in the street to make sure that the sidewalk is of uniform color, and the driveway approach is a private entrance through the public right-of-way. So we just want to make sure that those are consistent, and whether it needs replacing because of age, or it's the property owner's determination, or if somehow it gets damaged and the city's going to replace it, that we're meeting a standard. Obviously, trying to match colored and stamped, colored
Right.
or stamped at a future date is nearly impossible. And there are certain colors that you just can't have in the city right away. So that's kind of the logic behind it.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no further discussion. Do you guys understand the motion? Yeah. So the motion is to approve revisions to the non-conforming sidewalks and driveways be grandfathered in as of October 19, 2021. But if the sidewalk needs to be replaced, the city will not replace it. They'll not replace it back to the non-conforming part of it. So it'd be back to regular, whatever that Portland cement color it is. I think the argument came, it wasn't never
Yeah.
really defined in the ordinance. That
Yeah,
Go ahead.
well, I think, there was a homeowner that came in and wanted to do the colored concrete, and we said no. It says Portland cement only comes in gray and white. We looked at other ordinances, and the only, and the property owner was saying, well, it doesn't say I can't, which, right, and so we looked at other ordinances, and the ordinances that allowed it, affirmatively said, you are allowed to put additives of this, it limited the colors and what have you. There was very few that did that, but there were some. So, yes, we told the property owner that it was not allowed, and then he did not do it. But it was kind of our position that our current ordinance does not allow that. What if I added we have DE, what if I added F, and this is what it said? driveway approaches and sidewalk sections in the public right-of-way that have colored or stamped concrete as of October 19th, 2021, shall not have to come in conformance with this ordinance until the sidewalk or driveway is replaced. And at that point, it's going to be, right, it's going to be the white or the gray, or are we saying we're not going to do it, but if they want to pay the extra, they can bring it back? It was going to become in conformance. Okay, so it wouldn't have to come into conformance until they replaced it, and at that point, it couldn't have the stamped or it couldn't have the color, right? Is that,
Yes, yeah, that sounds great.
okay.
I just have a question, kind of referring to like what Jake said. So how do we know that, oh, I had this for 10 days or 10 years ago, and I don't? That's the only problem I guess I have with that, is how do you know who?
You're all going to go back to your districts tonight and start driving around and take pictures.
I would hope they would come in and get a permit to begin with, and so you might have that as your start date. Because the situation that Sue brought up was they had a permit, they came in, and so then they were trying to color it after the fact. So unless they're doing like a midnight driveway or approach, but I'm hoping that, I think the intent would that they're going to get a permit, and then we'll kind of have that start date. And if we see colored concrete, then at that point, engineering could say pull it or kind of address how they're going to address it. I don't know, though. Jake?
But they can't pull it if we grandfather those that are already there in. And my concern was just, we don't have a database or a map of those properties. So who's to say someone puts it in and we notice it months later and they say it's been there for a while? That's my issue, unless we ask them for a receipt or something. I'm not sure. But I just don't see a reason to make this more complicated in terms of keeping conformity. I mean, the rest of our zoning code, the reason it's in place, or most of it, is to keep things conformed across the city. So I think we should just stick with how it was proposed.
So we have a motion.
It was proposed and passed by the committee with this in it. It didn't make it into tonight's meeting for some reason.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 5 ayes and 3 nays. Oh, yeah. He'll come back next month for a second reading because it wasn't unanimous. All right, and item 8, Ryan.
So it was pointed out after approval that the time frame for the no parking on the north side of Oak Street between 7th and 8th Street was incorrectly listed. Coming from the city PD and the principal of Howes School, they would like to amend the timing for no parking to be between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on school days, except for the following authorized vehicles who may load and unload passengers during those times: school buses, vehicles for persons with disabilities, taxi cabs, boys and girls club vans, and other school district approved vehicles. I would like to make a motion as such.
Late Friday, we were notified of that change, and so actually the ordinance that's in your packet is the one that does say 8 to 4, as Alderman Austin just read. So if you refer to the ordinance that's in the packet, that is actually the revised one based upon further conversation, so.
So we can make a motion to adopt that ordinance? Or are you good with that? Okay. And Sherry, you're good with the second change? Okay. Correct. To accept the ordinance as presented. Patrick?
When this was discussed in committee, it was discussed the times that the school buses were going to be there so that the school buses wouldn't have any problems. What's happening now are parents are parking in the school bus spots. I don't think there's school buses there all day, and I don't see a reason to have it all day. I think during the school bus times, or even a half hour or 45 minutes on each side of that, or even an hour, would be better. That would, because that would have changed my vote in committee. That's all.
Did you have something?
Just to mention that the proposed times are consistent with all the other signing in that area.
So this was all verified after the meeting. Ed Allison was there from the school district representing them at the committee meeting. And he raised the question about, he said, I thought it was 8 to 4 p.m. And so that was in contradiction to what I had received from secondhand from the police department. So I followed up there after the committee meeting with Officer Pilad and the principal of House School and verified that what their request was 8 to 4 p.m. I did drive through there since committee meeting as well to verify the signage, and the signage on 8th Street is consistent with 8 to 4 p.m. as well.
Thank you, Patrick.
Okay, I take it back then. If it's consistent with the rest of the signage, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Sorry, moving on to Human Resource Committee meeting October 11th. Jay.
Thank you. Meeting of the Human Resource Committee was held on Monday, October 11th at 5 p.m. All committee members were present. All other attendees are on file in the clerk's office. Meeting was called to order at 5:23 p.m. Item number 2, discuss and consider for approval proposed changes to the vacation policy. Motion by Bemke, second by Veneman to approve the changes to the vacation policy as presented. Motion carried 3-0. See attached policy, which I think Ryan passed out before the meeting. Item number 3, discuss and consider for approval the policy allowing for police department lieutenant compensation for court time while off duty. Motion by Evenson, second by Veneman to approve the policy changes. The policy changes for policy department lieutenants compensation for court duty while off duty as presented. Motion carried 3-0. See attached policy. Discuss and consider for approval of pay increase from $8.50 an hour to $9 an hour for position in the Parks and Recreation Department to assist with recruitment. Motion by Evenson, second by Veneman to approve the pay increase to $9 an hour for positions within Parks and Recs Department. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 5, an update on IAFF and WRPPA contract bargaining. Short discussion took place and no action was taken. Item number 6, discuss plan for further COVID-19 policies and protocols in the event they are needed. Again, discussion and no action taken. Item number 7, discuss and consider for approval the request from Mayor Blazer for an organizational restructure of the Department of Public Works, including the elimination of the Director of Public Works position. See the attachment. Number 8, the committee may vote to go into closed session pursuant section 19.851C of the state statutes, which reads, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over governmental body which a governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. There was a discussion regarding the request of Mayor Blazer. There was a motion by Benneman, second by Bemke, to go into closed session pursuant to section 19.851C of the Wisconsin State Statutes, which reads, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. A roll call vote was taken. Benneman and Bemke voted in the affirmative. Evenson voted in the negative. Motion carried 2-1. In closed session, the committee discussed compensation for a public employee. Motion by Benneman, second by Evenson to return to open session at 7:55. Motion carried 3-0. Number 9, the committee may continue to discuss and consider for approval a request from Mayor Blazer for an organizational restructure of the Department of Public Works, including the elimination of the Director of Public Works position. Motion by Benneman, second by Evenson to approve the request from Mayor Blazer for an organizational restructure of the Department of Public Works, including the elimination of the Public Works position. Motion carried 2-1, with Evenson voting in the negative. Item 10, adjournment. Motion by Benneman, second by Bemke to adjourn. Motion carried 3-0. Meeting adjourned at 8 p.m. And with that, Mayor, I would move to approve this, but I would like to hold out items number 2 and number 7.
Probably, wouldn't it be item 9, because that's the action item?
Sure. Okay, 2 and 9 then.
So I have a motion by Bemke. Is there a second by Dean? Patrick.
I just have a quick question. I spent some time with Ryan from Human Resources, and we had thought that the legislative committee would be the way to go as far as the COVID-19 policies and protocols. I had talked with Susan Schill. I just wanted to ask her if I need to make a formal referral, or if that that item, as well as that other item that we had talked about, would be in the referral for the legislative committee.
Yeah, well, maybe to make it formal at the end of the meeting when the mayor asks for referrals, you can make that referral. I think legislative was concentrated on redistricting, so we have not met yet, but I think the plan is to meet very soon, so I can't remember what the other, okay, all right.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to adopt the report holding out items 2 and 9. Seeing no further discussion, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. And Jay, item number 2.
Item number 2 is the vacation policy. I don't know if Ryan wants to talk about it or not, but we've had a few questions from employees on the policy. I think we just like to send it back to committee, make sure we've got everything in order, and then bring it back next month.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
So a motion to by Jay. Yeah. By Dean. To send it back to committee. Any further discussion? I'm letting the clerk catch up. All right, please catch your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Item number 9, Jay.
Again, I would like to send this back to committee for further discussion. That is my motion.
So we have a motion by Bemke, second by Dean. Jake?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask why you would like to send it back to committee.
I think for further discussion. How's that?
I guess to further that question, what changed from the last committee meeting to now that you want to discuss it more at committee level?
I requested it, Jake. Yep. So I requested that we have a further discussion. Any, oh, go ahead, Sherry.
Sorry. If I may, I just want it noted that I'll agree to the motion to bring it back to committee. However, I want it to be noted that I do not agree nor will vote for an elimination of the Director of Public Works position. I hope delaying or rethinking this topic is not a ploy to let our guards down so that it comes back the way it was initially presented. Because the importance of this position will not go away. I've done research and presented these documents and my findings at the HR meeting. We have all received additional emails from the community as well as phone calls from the community as well as department heads who would be directly affected. And they do not wish this to happen as it will not lead to a positive outcome for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Bear with me, I'm making notes here as I'm reading. I appreciate that this proposal is being rethought. Listening to the experts as the departments that this would affect is very important. As indicated in the HR committee while watching the videos from 2015, as well as the comments from staff that were here before Director of Public Works was here, departments functioned as their own entity and coordination between public works departments did not exist. Duplication of services, equipment, as well as there was no 5, 10, or 15-year long-term initiatives for street construction, chip seal program, and the list goes on and on. I would like to reiterate that we need effective leaders, and according to the City of Wisconsin Rapids Human Resource Policy, under the workplace expectations, the city is committed to providing a productive work environment that fosters communication, teamwork, accountability, and a cooperative attitude. We need to foster teamwork and morale, as do all staff and elected officials. Hold on, sorry. Since 2015, when the Director of Public Works was hired, I believe that level of service for streets, storm water, wastewater has increased, as we have reports that have shown us that every month. I was kind of confused and concerned that complaints had been taken from the citizens indicating that the elimination of Director of Public Works could fix. I'm confused at this and hope that more research and information that we're able to gather could ascertain why that would be. We do need a Director of Public Works because they are the expert in street repair, wastewater management, and engineering. These department heads need an expert in all areas of public works to ensure services are not duplicated and to lead the entire infrastructure platform into the future, 4, 5, 10, 15 years and more, into the future to ensure growth and sustainability for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Again, I would like to reiterate, if we're going back to the drawing board and to create a different organizational structure that still leaves the departments to function as separate entities without a Director of Public Works, we'll be waiting for the research of how this could be good for the city of Wisconsin Rapids now and in the future. We will need an expert in each of these public works departments as a liaison, a mentor, and someone to answer the technical questions or to assist staff with the expert advice and knowledge that a Director of Public Works would have. Fire Chief Young is retired, but remember what he said at the end of the evening. When he spoke, if his departments all function individually, why would we need a fire chief? I'm not going to put the chief of police on, but there are individual departments and they oversee that, and that's what makes it work. And so I just want to remember, to remind you all of that. Another thing, if we're bringing this back to committee, how is this affecting the 2022 budget? Thank you.
I guess I'll answer the budget portion. I don't know if you watched the budget meeting, but I did state that funding was not removed totally. It's sitting in contingency to determine the outcome. I didn't think it would make good budget sense to eliminate it totally from the budget, and then now we got to figure out how to fund it.
Okay, and I did hear that. I just was relooking, and I just didn't see that it was added back in there, so I just wanted to
Yeah,
be
it's
sure.
just in contingency. It doesn't have like contingency with an A that says the funding's for this.
And that would be in all of the streets and the wastewater and all the positions that the Director of Public Works
Yeah,
oversees. Okay.
about the 151,000, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Tom?
Not to reiterate, because I couldn't remember it all, what Sherry just said, but I support that, and I send it back for what Sherry all had to say there. But, I think that's probably the best to come up with this evening, and to do that, and we'll see. I don't have any idea what is being looked at or what the thoughts are, but I do agree with that, the necessity of having the Public Works Director is really first and foremost. So, thank you.
Good, Sherry.
Sorry, I do know that, if there are people in the audience or if there is someone on Zoom, I don't know if Rick still wanted to speak or not, or if there's anyone in the audience. I know we kind of pulled this out last minute. If you weren't aware of, the article in the newspaper or online saying that we were probably going to hold this over, I just want them to have the ample time to talk if they wanted to, if they may.
If somebody's willing to recognize. I think Rick was nodding his head that he would like to speak.
Rick?
Go ahead, Rick.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Rick Eilertson. I live at 514 First Street, Fairville, Wisconsin. I'm one of the new directors for the Wisconsin chapter of American Public Works Association, and I've also served the last 5 years as the chapter's liaison to the National Center for Sustainability. And first of all, I want to apologize that on behalf of the chapter that we haven't been able to reach out to actually give the presentation for the national award that Wisconsin Rapids received last year. Obviously, that's because of the COVID pandemic, and we'd be happy to do that at any time in the future. My background is both in the public works, in the public sector, 15 years serving as a public works utilities director, as well as environmental engineer in the public sector, and then 16 years in the private sector in municipal engineering. I'm back in the private sector the last 5 years, and just wanted to let you know that I guess obviously I'm not here as officially endorsing or going against the motion that or the action that is being sought out. Other than I do want to read our mission statement, the chapter's mission statement, and that is that we provide a forum for public works professionals to share their expertise and experiences for the continuing development of public works that add value throughout Wisconsin. I've got a number of different things pro and against eliminating this position, and both professionally and personally. I've known your public works director for the past 30 years. We actually went to college together. We ran against each other in high school, went to college together. I've known him ever since. I'm also now a family member because I married his wife. So I've got obviously some personal stake in the position, but I also like that he would have an opportunity to work somewhere else. I would love him to come work for the firm that I work for. And but I guess the bottom line is I want you to, I think it's important for the city of Wisconsin Rapids to make an informed decision on whether they want to keep the position as is, eliminate it, or modify that. I'd be happy to provide any feedback either before or during the next human resources meeting. So I want to make myself available to that. So I've got my contact information is with Mayor Blazer as well as the city clerk. I do want to thank both Mayor Blazer and all of the alders that I was able to contact today. I was amazed that every single one of the alders and I wasn't able to contact all of you, so I apologize for that. But every single one of the alders that I contacted got back to me very quickly and were very responsive to me being allowed to be able to speak today. So I want to definitely show my appreciation for that work, and I'd be happy to assist you however you'd like. Again, I want to show my professionalism and say that certainly I'd be happy to work as a consultant in the city of Wisconsin Rapids. I can do some of the things better than your current public works director. I can do a lot of the things a lot worse. And you're going to pay me about 3 times more. So those are some of the different ins and outs of my perspective. And again, I'd be happy to provide that perspective to any of you now or in the future. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Rick. Any further discussions? Let's get Patrick and then Lee can go.
I just have a quick question. Is that your brother-in-law? Is that what I understood?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he said wife.
All right, Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quite frankly, I do not know Joe Terry except by face and name. I've heard a few things about him over the past few years, but what I want to say is when I finished grad school, I went to work for an executive search firm, and I worked there for 11 years. And I recruited oil and gas attorneys with backgrounds in mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures, et cetera, et cetera. And I talked to some high-level people, guys and gals that were partners in law firms and in oil companies, talking to the top guys. And when I was a recruiter, or a headhunter, I like to say, I really came upon some very intelligent people and some very talented people. Now, I heard Mr. Terry speaking tonight, and in my humble opinion, the knowledge that he has for what he does, and the way he talked and explained things to the rest of you all was, in my opinion again, was wow. I knew he was a talented individual, but he wowed me, and if you get rid of a talent like that, I think you're doing the city a big disservice. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Seeing nothing further, we have no, Sherry was done. I think that's just left up there. No, you're good. It wasn't you. He was using your time.
He was using your time.
So we have a motion and a second to hold this over, or take it, to go to the next HR committee meeting. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried, 7 ayes, 1 nay. We are on to item number 13, that's reports of other committees, commission, boards, and department reports. Excuse me, what are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Evanson and seconded by Jake. Any discussion, comments, questions? Tom?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Just a couple questions and maybe a comment. The fire department's report for this month, and I just, everybody's aware of it, so mostly for the viewing public in that. Interesting on, I guess, the second page, it'd be of the second paragraph of the work has begun between MSTC, Midstate, and the fire department to develop a fire academy that will allow high school students in their junior and senior years to join and attend classes necessary for them to work in the fire and EMS industry while finishing high school. As recruitment constantly becomes more difficult with the building of every candidate list, this type of program could give us an opportunity to help develop a constant workforce for central Wisconsin and departments to draw from, while exposing interested students to our profession, the opportunity to jumpstart their chosen career. So it's just, I just wanted to mention that so everybody would be aware of it, because I think it is a very important thing, and I know it's becoming more difficult to find people to enter that profession. And probably the police department too. But as I read over this, I just thought it might be something worthwhile to mention at the meeting tonight, because it's becoming harder and harder to get people to go into that, and we have and have had for a very long time, a very qualified fire department from what we went to, and I would hope that we'd be able to keep getting the best that there is out there to keep the department at the high level that we are in the state. With that, and another one, I guess, and I have to find where I'm at. With water and light, and I guess it'd be the get the right month or right meeting, September 8th of 2021. It'd be number 4.9. And I guess, I don't know if Public Works can help, or somebody can, may have a comment on it or not this evening. It's on their general manager report, and it has that the report was reviewed and the need to reline our raw water main was discussed. The general manager, Jim Brown, stated that it's too costly to reline the Waterworks and Lighting Commission raw water mains and to complete the city water main replacement in the same year. Therefore, Jim stated that the Waterworks and Lighting staff has met with contingent from City Hall in late August to discuss this issue and hopefully come to an agreement. I don't know where we stand in that. Hopefully that's in progress, I would assume. I don't remember seeing any that came to mind as I saw it.
Joe or I could explain it. We were at a meeting.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that we iterated with the utility is the need to follow the city's capital improvement plan, and that, projects are to be expected for all the utilities. Fortunately, there are some extra funds, federal government funds that can be used for infrastructure, and the mayor's included those to be utilized by the water utility. So that satisfies their concerns for finances. At the end of the day, those funds are being used to help, keep utility costs down. So whether it's tax dollars being saved or utility rates being saved, it's affecting all the same people. So I think we're in a good position.
Yeah, that's that ARPA funding. So we got 1.8 million. We got half of that. So part of that, like Joe explained, that we can use it for water and certain projects at this point. So that's closing that gap so they can do that. Yeah, go ahead.
So is it something that just wasn't planned on their part, or
It was planned.
it was planned?
Yeah.
But they just didn't put it in budget?
Well, we were,
How am I missing this?
they stated that they've been talking about it for the last 5 years. So how it got to this point, you know, Joe and I have talked about it too, after I got elected. And the problem is that at that point also that engineering's already rolling on their projects, trying to get everything, you know, their projects done for that year, the design, and then also with the funding, you know, because we rely so also on the utility to provide, you know, some of that cost funding from the utility. And this raw, because they need to reline the whole raw water mains from the city out to the wells. And it's rose to a level that they're concerned that, as Jim said, you know, we could end up under a boil alert. So that's how we ended up here. But with the COVID money, or the ARPA money, I mean, that kind of fills that gap so we can continue on in our funding or in our projects without really kind of losing a step. And then it also aids in helping our raw water supply. Also, I'd like to point out we have Todd Eckes in the audience. He was the deputy chief, and he is now the interim chief for the fire department. So congratulations, Todd, and we know the standards are high and you're going to maintain them. We appreciate it. Any other questions or comments on other boards or reports? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Referrals to committee, Patrick.
Okay, I don't know how this process goes exactly.
Fire away.
But one of the things that we would like to, or I'd like to talk about is the plan for further COVID. Oh, it's green. That's fine. Plan for further COVID-19 policies and protocols as far as the emergency declaration that the council does every month. I'd spoken with Ryan and Jay, Ryan Hartman and Jay, and they thought that it would be best to talk with the legislative committee about this. So I'd like to make that referral. I don't know if it has to be approved or. Okay. I have another one.
Okay.
This one might take a minute. Recently, at least one business in our city has required proof of vaccination in order to enter their establishment. While some of you may be for this, and some of you may be against it, I'd like to point out that this is in violation of the state constitution, which we all took an oath to uphold. It's in clear violation to a person's rights. Now, the word rights may not be one of the best defined words, but a right is not something you're granted by the government or any other entity. Right is not something that someone else can give you. A right is, however, that which you are born with and you have until the day you die. Rights do not come from our government, but rather rights come from our Creator. The Constitution of the state of Wisconsin reads, "We, the people of Wisconsin, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom, in order to secure its blessings, form a more perfect government, ensure domestic tranquility, and promote the general welfare, do establish this Constitution." Article 1.
Do you have a referral in there?
I do.
Okay.
It'll take a minute.
Okay.
Please hear me out.
Well, but this isn't to argue or present a case or whatever. It's simply the referral item, and then, you know, and so that can all be discussed at
I
the
understand
legislative
that.
committee.
Can I
Okay.
finish?
Well, then someone might want to
Talk more about my
Right.
right,
referral?
and I think
Turns
it's
into a
more,
discussion.
you know, what is the referral item that will be on the agenda, and then we can talk more about it.
And build on it, yeah. And not debate it now.
I wasn't debating it.
Oh, no.
I was stating facts.
Yep.
And I think that quoting the Constitution, which we're all sworn to uphold, it should not be any in debate at all. I'm just clearly highlighting that the rights of the people is the very first article in the state's constitution. Okay, so my referral is, I would like to, the matter, to shorten it up. See, that was my whole referral, was my,
That's a long one.
What committee is this going?
legislative committee and any other committee this referral would pertain to. I had spoken with Sue about it, and she thought that legislative would be appropriate.
Can you state it in a few words so I can capture it?
So our resident rights are being violated because of a mandatory shot, booster, injection, whatever, drug. And that's it.
Sherry.
I know I'm on the HR committee, but I'd like to make a referral. I know HR's been going through updating the policy, but what my question, I'll keep it short, but when employees start, most places have a book that they give you. This is it. They can't give it to you because it's too large of a document. So I'd like them to work on, there's some ideas that I have, but I just wanted to, I don't know how you put it, a revised handbook, perhaps? Thank you.
We've been talking about a brand new handbook.
Thanks.
Yep. Sounds good. Any other referrals? I'll let the clerk catch up. Thank you. I assume we have no need for closed sessions. So seeing, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The transportation utility, I know we had, Public Works decided, they were going to put it off to get the calculations going. Is there any update of how that may be going, or is there going to be something on for next month?
Well,
Just a process, I guess, of where it's going.
Joke about it. Tonight it was approved to do the additional, so I would assume no work has been done really much as of yet because that hasn't been approved. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so just as a quick heads up, I mean, we've set the table to do some work. We've talked to the utility. We've tried to take a look at some of the sample data in preparation to move forward. So we're ready to move forward. The action that the council took tonight allows us to do that.
So hopefully I would think they're a pretty efficient group, so hopefully we can get moving on that because it is pretty, I'm still getting emails about it, so, especially from our friends on 18th Avenue. Yes, they are. So we're going to go on to adjournment then. So we have a motion by Rayom, second by Matt. All in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? I'm sorry.